Good good Thursday morning to you. My name is Ren Jones. I am coming to you live from once again, I feel like a broken record, from sunny Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. I am live on Instagram here on my phone. I'm live on Facebook in my Facebook group, on my Facebook page. I am live on LinkedIn right now, live on YouTube, and a few other places through the beauty of the Restream website. So you're here for a quick and dirty live session. I'm going to give it to you. For those that don't know who I am and what I do, I already gave you my name, but I'm a certified personal trainer through the National Academy of Sports Medicine, also a certified corrective exercise specialist, certified level 1 and level 2 nutrition coach, sport and exercise nutrition through Precision Nutrition. Good morning. Hey, what's up, y'all? I got some homies in here. I'm live all over the world. I'm everywhere. I'm in area codes that I don't even know about. But I'm also a women's coaching specialist through Girls Gone Strong, and I've got three different menopause certifications. One through Dr. Stacy Sims Menopause 2.0, one through MedFit Menopause certification course, and one through Girls Gone Strong. So I'm here to talk today about a very important subject, and that is consistency. Right, one of the biggest problems that the women that I serve. Primarily women over 30. I only work with women as an online coach at this point in my career. But one of the biggest problems that they run into is how to be consistent when motivation is sort of up and down, and how to be consistent when their energy is up and down. Because for those that aren't familiar with the menopause spectrum, and please don't tune out, ladies, if you're in your 30s here or even younger, but for those who aren't familiar, that withdrawing of estrogen for a lot of women can cause just bone dead, tired fatigue, right? So if your motivation is fluctuating and your levels of energy are really fluctuating, how can you maintain consistency? Because again, a lot of the women that I serve and a lot of the women that I interact with here who ask me questions, they want to know, I can't stay on that wagon, Ren. I keep falling off. So I'm going to give you 5 tips about that today. Before I do that, I've got to do 2 things. And if you've been here with me all week at 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern, you know I do all these 2 things before I start. Number one, I got to shout out the t-shirt of the day. My homie, Mark Zarate Fitness. I did I did an episode on his podcast a while back, years back. He sent me this shirt, and it's all to say, this is the first time I've worn your shirt, Mark. So shout out to Mark, great coach, great colleague. Second thing, I've got to pay some bills because this is my enrollment week. I enroll 1 week each month for new clients. So if you're a woman over 30 out there who wants to build her healthiest body and healthiest relationship with your body, and your healthiest relationship with food without doing any calorie counting, without doing any macronutrient counting. Nothing wrong with those things. It's just not the way that I do it. And without spending your life in the gym or doing cardio, then my signature 12-week program, Women's Liberation Movement, might be right for you. DM me the word live. This broadcast is going to go back up on all my channels, so you'll have a replay there. Come back, DM me the word live. We'll have a chat in the DMs. We'll see if what I do might fit what you need. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get to the nitty gritty of the live broadcast, because I got some good information for you today. And I want to talk to you about 5 different methodologies that I use with my clients, most of whom are in that menopause spectrum, perimenopause to menopause to postmenopause. Most of whom are in that spectrum. These are the techniques that I help them with to help them be more consistent, because what we have to understand about consistency is not a trait, right? We think it's a trait sometimes. Discipline, we feel like that's a trait. Oh, that's a disciplined person. That's a consistent person. Consistency, y'all, this is good news. I hope you take this in. Consistency is a skill, and skills are built with practice, and practice is utilized by having some system, something to practice in the first place. So, number one, the number one thing that I utilize, and this is a tool more so than the mindset. Some of these are tools, some of them are mindsets. The number one thing that I use is, well, actually, this is a mindset, is shrinking the change, right? What's often so difficult when you step into a wellness routine or you step back into fitness, if you've been out of for a little bit, is you'll come in wanting to throw everything and the kitchen sink at your wellness. And it's understandable. Look, the longer that you delay committing to a process, the less patient you're going to be with that process when you finally commit to it. I'm going to repeat that. I'll put it on a shirt. Maybe I'll put it on the back of this shirt. Mark might like that. The longer you delay committing to a process, the less patient you're going to be about that process once you commit to it. And it's understandable, man. It's human nature, right? You feel like, oh man, I waited so long to get back to my wellness and start working out again. I need everything to happen in 30 days, right? So I'm going to do everything that I can possibly think of at one time to make it happen faster. You are no sooner going to force your body into giving you change than you are going to overwater and overfeed a flower to get it to grow faster. Biology just doesn't work that way. So the first thing I want you to think about in terms of maintaining a level of consistency when your energy and your motivation is fluctuating. Motivation always will fluctuate, by the way. It's a deadbeat parent. It can't be counted on continuously. But the first thing I want you to do is shrink the change. And what do you mean? Give me an example, Rand, because I really don't get what you're saying. Instead of setting your timeline, which I personally hate timelines, instead of setting your timeline for 30 or 60 days from now, set your timeline 4 times longer than that, right? And you might be thinking to me, then Ren, that's crazy talk. Instead of 3 months, you want me to set it for a year. Instead of 1 year, you want me to set it for 4 years. Absolutely, right? Give yourself a longer period of time. That's you shrinking the change. That's you reducing the amount of crazy effort that you might want to put into it. One thing that's commonly done with my clients is oftentimes I'll give my clients a 1 hour workout, right? A strength training session, maybe an hour. And we'll find out that doesn't really fit in their lives. So you know what we do? We reduce it to 45 minutes, right? And if we find out again that that doesn't fit into their lives, you know what we do? We reduce it to 30 minutes. Give me 30 good minutes. We can do some work in 30 minutes. And if that doesn't work, I've reduced them to as little as 15 minutes. And the reason that I do that is because the 15-minute or 30-minute exercise routine that you are actually completing consistently is 1 bajillion times better than the 1 hour great, biologically efficient, optimal workout that you write in your book and skip. And then you write in your book and you skip. And then you write in your book and you skip. Like having something to do that's amazing isn't what moves the needle. Doing something consistently is what moves the needle. And a lot of the time, again, because we waited maybe for a while to jump back into our wellness protocol, we come in on fire, right? Your big, bright, burning star that's about to go supernova in week 3. That's what's going to happen. Your fitness journey is going to explode in week 3, and we'll be able to see it all across the universe, all across the social media verse, right? What happened to Tara? I thought she was working out this year. I just saw that she decided that it wasn't the right time for her, right? So shrinking the change, giving yourself grace, reducing the difficulty, the friction. Another example of this could be you're going to a gym and you're in an area where your gym's not close, right? Sure, is it optimal to go do a gym workout? Absolutely. They've got all the necessary equipment there. I've had clients that we've had a discussion. I said, hey, I noticed you can't really get to the gym. And they start to give me a laundry list of things that are making it difficult for them to go outside, get in that car and get to the gym. What do? We give them a home workout, right? Because the success of this intervention depends on the activity poured into the intervention, not specifically what the intervention is. And we've got to get to an understanding place to give ourselves enough grace, which is a big part of a wellness journey. Give ourselves enough grace to understand that I need to be doing something. And even if it's a reduced something, it's better than a zero something. We're going to touch on that again. But the first practical application of maintaining some consistency when motivation wavers, and when energy is fluctuating, because it will, for most women, it will during the menopause spectrum, the menopause transition, is to shrink the thing, make it a little bit, make the reach a little bit shorter to get it in your grasp. Because what's going to happen is once you establish consistency, no matter how big or reduced the thing is, once you establish consistency, you can interject more intensity. And I think that we don't understand that. Like, we want to start off intense. If you become consistent in a thing, you can increase the intensity of it over time, but we want the consistency first to be solid and be there. We don't need to jump in with the intensity. You've probably done that 20 times over the last 20 years of your wellness journey. So that's number one. The second thing I want to talk about is having a bare ass minimum workout pre-installed into your program. This is one thing that I like to do for my clients, right? So my clients across the board, they have their workouts that they're supposed to achieve during the course of the week, right? Um, I'm giving it to them this morning. So my clients have the workout that they need to do during the course of the week, right? And typically we start at 3 days per week, maybe 30 minutes or so per exercise routine. That's a very common place for us to start because we want to establish that habit, right? I've also pre-built for quite a few of my clients. I've pre-built in what I call a BAM workout. It's a bare ass minimum workout. Now this is sort of like I've pre-shrunk the change that I just talked about, but not in a way that we've communicated up front or any particular day. And they say, "Oh, I don't have the energy today," and I'm saying, "Well, just do a little bit of it." Now, this is a pre-installed workout, and I think I got the explanation of this concept came from my good friend Amanda Thebe, writer of a great book, Menopocalypse. If you haven't read that book and you're in that window, definitely want to read that book. I was privileged to have her on my podcast. In any case, but she talks about having a pre-built adjustment to allow for the fluctuating energy that you're probably going to have if you're in that spectrum. I mean, and even if you aren't in the transition of menopause, ladies, you can still have fluctuating energy. One thing that we often don't understand, that 100% 100% effort is not, it's not a flat line statement. 100% effort is not a uh, consistent continuous amount every single day of your life. There will be times when, for instance, most people who follow me know that I lost my mother to lifestyle related issues. I lost my brother to a heart attack. I lost two sisters to lifestyle related issues. I exercised all the way through those things. I don't mean that to make myself a martyr or seem like, oh, Rand's super disciplined. He does things through no matter what happens, because that's not the truth. But what I'm saying is, I'm saying the morning after my mother passed, I had a workout schedule, and because I'm sort of consistent about those things, and there weren't many things that I could do in the first place, I decided to commit to that exercise routine. My 100% effort that day was based on the human experiences and what my soul was able to complete that day. That 100% was much different from the 100% a week prior, when I did not have that grief and anxiety and angst, right? They were both still 100%, right? So you have to realize that your 100% from one day to the next, as a living, breathing, feeling, empathetic human with emotions, is going to be different. It doesn't mean that you're at 50%. No, you're at 100% capacity for what you have that day. I'm going off on a tangent here. I promise I'm going to reel it back in. But your ability and your capacity as a human are not the same two things. I talk about this with my clients often. And sometimes you will judge yourself by your ability because you don't have a developed awareness of your capacity that day. And what I'm saying is, although you may not be operating at 100% of your ability, and even worse, previous ability, don't judge yourself against your previous self. Even though you don't have that capacity, doesn't meet that ability. what you're doing is 100% of your capacity for that day. So tracking back to the road that I was on here. So I pre-built in those lower capacity workouts for my clients to give them the ability to see that they need to deploy grace when they are physically unable to perform at the level that they could at one point in time. There's no secret here. If estrogen starts to withdraw in your midlife, or worse, fluctuating in the perimenopausal phase, it's going to sap your energy sometimes. It's unavoidable. This is a biological event that's happening to your body. And if you have something pre-built, a bare ass minimum workout that you can commit to, that's tip number two, right? Utilizing that as a methodology of getting to where you want to go. That's different from what my typical five strategies are for maintaining consistency, because this one's very, very specific to the midlife woman who may be experiencing just wild energy fluctuations over the course of time. So that's tip number two. Let's get to tip number three. Tip number three for maintaining consistency, even when motivation and energy fluctuate, is scheduling your workouts. Oh, I can preach this one to the cows come home, right? You have a chat with your friends and say, hey, let's do so and so on Saturday. Let's go see Tay Tay. Let's go see Tay Tay on tour. Let's go see Beyonce. Let's get the Beehive together. We're gonna go see Beyonce this weekend, right? Or in 2 months or 3 months or 6 months. It's always ironic to me how easily we fall into scheduling work, right? Scheduling vacations. You know where I'm going with this. Scheduling fun. But for some reason, the one thing that we can do that guarantees our physical ability to do all the other stuff, we don't schedule that. We wait patiently for the motivation to rise up, right? I'm going to give you some shocking news. I'm being a sarcastic asshat right now. My clients love this, by the way. I'm going to give you a piece of news right now. If you're watching this, you are past the age where free time just shows up in your life. You hear a knock at the door. Who is it? It's free time. We'd like to know if you want to work out. Like, you've passed that age. You may not see that type of free time again until you're 65 in retirement. And hell, the way gas prices and inflation are going now, you might retire at 99. You may have one day of retirement before we cross out of this earthly plane. But free time's not going to show up. So we got to schedule things in. The time is typically some amount of time. It's typically there if you backtrack to the first two suggestions, but you got to write it out, right? Write out when you're going to exercise. One of the things that I've done religiously, and let me preface this by saying this is a anecdotal statement coming from a man who is unmarried and has no children. So let me cut my own bullshit before I even say it. Oh, I just do what I do. I don't have children. I am unmarried. So I understand the place where this is coming from. Adjust to yourself. One of the things that I try to do is schedule in my calendar each day. If I have exercise to do that day, I like to schedule it into my calendar, right? It may not be the first thing that I schedule in chronological order. I don't mean that my workouts at 6 or 7 a.m. I mean, I try to find the space in my day throughout the course of the week where I can schedule time to get it done. I at least have an idea of when the exercise is going to happen, so that I have something to commit to, because I want to make my systems the bad guy, right? I don't want to be the bad guy, and it's same for my clients. I don't want to be the bad guy for them. So we implement systems, and we do things because the systems dictate. The system is the manager. The system is the bad guy, and most of us don't have a good system for when we're going to exercise. I'm going to split this off into a couple of parts. I know people do get tired of my slide. I appreciate, Pam, that you appreciate my smart ass news flashes. Somebody's got to appreciate it. I found the one woman on the internet that can tolerate my smart asses. But I want to have a system in place, right, to get those things done. I send out a whiteboard, It's basically a strip of paper. It looks like that doesn't look that much different than that. But in my welcome kit for my clients, I send out a magnetic whiteboard for their refrigerator, along with some magnetic pens, magnetic pen holders, dry erase pens. And that's a means for them. One of the first things that we talk about is writing out their schedule for the week of exercise. I do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, I want them to be mindful of it, right? Just having an awareness that it's there and not waiting for it to creep up and surprise them. But number two, and this is one of the reasons why I work almost solely with moms over 30, I want their family to be able to see it, right? Because another reason why people struggle with consistency is their environment does not set, the environment's not properly set for you to be consistent. Oftentimes, my clients will come to me, I just can't find time to get a workout. And I'll politely and subtly suggest, I'm wondering, as the manager of the home, because women run the household. I mean, they run pretty much everything. I saw an interesting topic. I think it was on Forbes that the top half of the top 50 most successful CEOs are now women, and stuff like that brings me joy because my mother was a hardworking woman. I digress. But they're running that entire unit typically. And I say, okay, so you've got a mission for your business, your body being your business, and none of the employees know what the mission is or what the business wants to accomplish. How well do you think that business might be able to generate profit? And they're just like, point taken. Say, have you talked to your spouse or partner? Do your kids know when you have a workout? If they're of age to take in that information. But typically what I found is that children across the spectrum of ages, if you tell them something's supposed to happen on some day, and I need you to help mommy remember, oh my God, you've got a federal agent on that case. They're gonna remind you every single day up until the event takes place. But my clients, some of them, I have them write their schedule for workouts on that whiteboard that I give them to stick to their refrigerator. So scheduling your exercise can be a great catalyst in being consistent. Two more topics, and I'm out of your hair. The next thing is another technique. I call it my 5 minute rule. Not to be confused with the 5 second rule from what's the brilliant author? I can't remember her name. It'll come to me in a second. Mel Robbins. But my 5 minute rule is centered around exercise. And here's how you work the 5 minute rule. Another tip that may help you be more consistent, even when energy and time fluctuate. The 5 minute rule dictates that no matter how you feel, no matter what your energy level at that point that day, no matter what your interest is in actually doing a workout, you show up for your workout and you set your timer on your watch or on your phone for 5 minutes. And wherever that workout starts, a warm up, a stretch, jumping jacks, wherever that workout starts, you commit to it and you do as much of that workout as you can for 5 minutes. And in 5 minutes, your timer goes off. You're at an assessment point. Because I've been there. And maybe after 5 minutes, bad word incoming, earmuff to children. Maybe after 5 minutes, you say, I am just not feeling this shit today. Right? And you pack up and you go home. And some of you've clutched your pearls as I said that. Stay with me. Let me explain the whole thing. But you can do that. Just go home. You did something. Or at that 5 minute mark, you say, I can do 5 more minutes at least. And you commit to 5 more minutes. Instagram, everybody else, you commit to 5 more minutes, right? You get 5 more minutes in, and then alarm goes off again. Now you're at a larger decision point. There's a greater fork in the road. Because at this point, you're either going to, okay, I know this isn't the day for this. I'm out of here. You're either going to leave that workout, or after the second 5 minutes, you commit to the entirety of the workout. Now you've decided to do all the rest of it. Implementing that habit, that technique, that rule has saved so many of my clients. It saved me. And it's predicated on this theory, the theory that every single deposit, say you had a high yield savings account, every single deposit compounds in interest, except for what kind? Except for a zero deposit. The only way for you to deposit money in an interest bearing account and not make money is if you did not deposit any money. And maintaining that habit over time, obviously the deposits are going to fluctuate. Sometimes in your life it's going to be $10. Sometimes it may be $1. Sometimes it may be 1,000. But the habit of doing that over the course of time, you know what's going to happen to you financially? You're going to start to amass some wealth, some money, right? And if you think back to every single time that you did not move your body in your past, right? Every single time that you didn't, and you replaced that day with 5 minutes, the trajectory of your health would probably be drastically different than what it is now, right? You're catching on to what I'm saying now, because something always works better than absolutely nothing. And that 5 minute habit, excuse me, it allows you to make sure that there's always something happening instead of being an all or nothing status of mentality. So that 5 minute rule has saved me many, many times. The greatest trick here is your own internal dialogue, because you have to give yourself grace to execute that rule. You have to be okay and understand that you did 5 minutes or 10 minutes and you went home. If you do not apply grace to this particular technique, you're going to judge yourself too much, right? And you're going to think, now I've got to throw everything but the kitchen sink at my fitness again, because that's not good enough. You're going to push yourself to another point, variable off. Your consistency over time is your greatest asset. Don't disgrace yourself when you've put a deposit in. Don't judge yourself for how big the deposit was. Judge yourself for the activity, the habit of doing that. Because over time, as James Clear so brilliantly says in Atomic Habits, read that book if you hadn't, by the way. But good habits make time your ally, and poor habits make time your bully. And if you're making poor decisions for a great period of time, bully's going to beat you up, right? But if you're making even the smallest positive decision over time, time's going to be an ally there, and it's going to magnify it. It's going to make you the the coolest person in the lunchroom in eighth grade, right? So 5 minute rule. Last technique. This last technique is twofold. It's a scheduling technique. I'm going to try to push my way through it because I'm already at 8:30. And this is using an implementation intention or an if-then statement and an if-then statement to back it up. Learn this one from the brilliant ladies over at Girls Gone Strong. Shout out to Molly. Appreciate you, Molly. The implementation intention means that you're going to, as you schedule, this is additive to scheduling, as you schedule, you're going to schedule specifically the when, where, and how of your action, right? So, for instance, instead of me saying I'm going to work out on Wednesday, the implementation intention will sound something like on Wednesday after work, but before I take the dog out, I'll put on my sneakers and I'll do 25 jumping jacks. It's an implementation intention. The time, the situation, and the intention all wrapped into one. For instance, if you're going to work out on Saturday, you put on your schedule workout Friday, Saturday, whenever. It could be Saturday after the kids' soccer game, but before we go to the restaurant, I'll switch into my exercise clothes and I'll go outside for a short run around the block. That's an implementation intention, right? Last example, Wednesday at work on my lunch hour, I'll take the first 30 minutes to walk the campus of our workplace, and then I'll take the second 30 minutes to have my lunch. Implementation intention, specific situation, specific action that you're going to take, specific time, and specific day. You back up that implementation intention. We're getting into planning mode now, right? You're taking a lot of responsibility at this point. You back up that implementation intention with an if then statement. And the if then statement is a contingency, right? When all that beautiful stuff I said goes to pot, goes to trash, you've got an if then statement to back it up. If on Wednesday I'm swamped with work and can't get away from my desk the first 30 minutes, then when I get home, I'll take the same walk, the same distance around the block, right? So the if then statement is you already foreseeing that something might go wrong and planning for it, writing it out, giving it thoughtful purpose, so that again, you're just not sitting around waiting for that knock. Who is it? Well, it's free time and motivation. We figured we'd stop by. They don't stop by. They've lost your address a long time ago. Believe me. And if they find your address, they forget every time that they come over. They just forget how to get there. So I hope that's helpful for you, ladies. We've got 5 techniques that can probably help. That will. We gotta just deal in probabilities. 5 techniques that if you try any of them or all of them and work them into your life, will help you to maintain your consistency, even when motivation fluctuates, because that's all that motivation does, right? And even if your energy levels fluctuate, you can allow yourself to give some grace for what's going on with you biologically. I got to pay the bills one more time because I'm currently enrolling for my 12-week signature program. I enroll 1 week out of every month. So this enrollment period ends on Sunday, which I believe is the 27th. I'm currently enrolling 5 women over 30 who want to build their healthiest body and healthiest relationship with their body, sustain that, and also build their healthiest relationship with food, without doing any calorie counting or macronutrient counting. Nothing wrong with that. It's just not what we do here. Without weighing or measuring their food, normalizing their food behaviors, and getting in great physical condition, over the next 12 weeks. If that sounds like you, DM me the word live, Live. You're welcome, Risa. Live, Live. We'll chat about whether or not what I do would fit what you need in your life. Again, enrollment ends Sunday. I'll be back tomorrow morning with another 8 o'clock a.m. live session, giving you all the details. Until next time, Instagram, let's keep it simple. And everybody else, and I do mean literally everybody else, I'll see you tomorrow. Until next time, let's keep it simple.